like, I don't mind just kind of like exchanging cards, having exchanges and interactivity with my opponent. But the games where I can flip up a floodgate or just some, Harpy's Feather Storm, Dimensional Barrier, something kind of floodgate-esque card, or even like just toss a shifter and they just have to kind of like scoop. I'm not very, I don't really want blowouts. I want to sort of engage with my opponent. And so for me, I think that the side deck actually exacerbates most of the cards that people already don't like the most. It's really, when you think about a card like Lancia or a card like Droll, I've heard people say that they want these cards banned. And, like, typically, the reason they want them banned is because they create non-games. Without a side deck, these would be cards that would be a little bit tougher to main deck. And here's what I mean. So if you played Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, you know that it's played in best of ones, and what that oftentimes means is that you are at the mercy of the coin. Which means that in some games, if you want to play a combo deck, there will be games where you lose the coin flip, your opponent goes first, they set up lots of negates and interruptions, you simply can't get your combo off the ground. So, it necessitates that you one of two things. You either main deck hand traps, Astro looks like Maxi, but also like, Ash Blossoms and Perms, kind of just safe hand traps that can be used against most decks. Or you have to main deck board breakers, or typically some combination of both. You might main deck Lightning Storms, you might main deck Dark Ruler No Mores, even Match, maybe Kaijus, and oftentimes the reality that you're faced with in Master Duel that you will have to go above 40 cards to do. And if you want to have that airtight 40 card deck, probably are just going to have to go up to 42 or 44 or something like that in order to need the going second cards or hand traps to be played. And I get that there is some discomfort and like unfamiliarity here. People want all of the cards in their deck to be live at all times. Everything needs to be smooth and efficient and like be like a starter or an extender, and that's like kind of it. But I think that in my opinion anyway, should come with a bit of like risk analysis in terms of deck. Right? How afraid are you of losing to a trap deck? Are you so afraid that you are willing to main deck a card like Harpy's Feather Duster or Lightning Storm evenly matched? Or just, you want to make the decision between like evenly matched versus Harpy's Feather Duster and Lightning Storm. Evenly matched is good against back row decks, but also can be even good against decks that just put a lot of monsters in the field once they don't have like Omni Negate to negate it with. So, like, there's a little bit of like a decision to be made around like what board breakers you like the most. Dark Ruler No More kind of also factors into that. Or if you're playing a deck that has more hand advantage or doesn't mind things like grave, you're going to probably come to really good sort of board breaker card that actually is more effective than Dark Ruler No More because it still lets you image your opponent in the game. Whereas Dark Ruler No More is always going to get the turn. And the same can be said of like evenly matched but not Lightning Storm. There's all these decisions you have to make around these cards and which ones you want to, what works best for your deck. Same goes for hand traps too, where, you have to sort of pick and choose what hand traps cover the most amount of matchups. That's why in Master Duel everybody's main decking Maxi, Ash Blossom, and Imperm usually, but you won't really see as many people main decking Ghost Bell and Haunted Mansion, or even like Ghost Ogre and stuff like that. Because those are, or like a DD Crow, right? Those are more specific hand traps, and they are a little bit riskier. But whenever I'm playing a Master Duel and I see somebody main decking Ghost Ogre, it takes me by surprise. I kind of think of it it's tough to make that decision to main deck a card like Ghost Ogre when it's not guaranteed against every matchup. And even currently in Master Duel, there's a bit of a conundrum people have with like Artifact Lancia or maybe even Chaos Hunter. There are cards that are extremely powerful against Malice deck, but there's also another deck running around, Ryzeal, that has no concern for a card like Artifact Lancia. Now the decision comes down to, are you more afraid of Malice than you are of Ryzeal? Your deck can handle Malice but not Ryzeal. Like that would determine what the cards that you run are. Also, do you want to run like Kaijus in your main deck? It's a little bit scary to do so, but because these games are best of one, you kind of gotta like Now, to get back to the TCG a little bit, I'm not saying that I think the TCG is a best of one format. I think that it actually could totally still be best of three. I just think that outside decking, people would have to be more thoughtful and considerate and strategic about what they choose in their main deck, and they will be forced to make some, unpleasant, uncomfortable compromises with the cards that they include, because you won't get to necessarily have perfect silver bullet to defeat your opponent's deck. You just decide then, choose to go first or second, and just snap of your finger and like things kind of land or lose or whatever, you go to game 3. I don't love that part of the thing. I think that it's more fun when games kind of all feel like a bit of a tango. You might find yourself asking, well, okay, and if there's no side deck, then like game 2 and 3 will just all be the same, won't they? Well, maybe they will, but I think that the fact that we go, like, so let's say you and I are playing, and I win the coin flip, I win the die roll, so I get to go first and kind of set up on you, and it's really tough you're gonna pull through that game. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. Go to game 2, you get to go first and do your thing. Game 3, presumably I'll get to go first and win, but we know that with modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Today, it's not really always that simple. A lot more things kind of have like ways to play in terms of hero, and that, I think, combined with the fact that players would be heavily incentivized to run going second cards in their main deck for a change, means that it's not always just going to be like, oh, I won the coin flip, I automatically win, because now your main decking those lightning storms, demons, those dark lord noblemen, or maybe your main decking, more hand traps than I think there also is something to be said about the army cards in this equation, just because people currently like to main deck Wallows, and some people main deck Lugia, but people usually just side deck Charming Meows. Like, your main deck Charming Meows, maybe if the top deck is something like a Malice, or like some deck that just summons a lot from the grave, it could be worth doing. I like the idea that a player could be rewarded for taking that risk on, and maybe even punished for pushing that risk heavily into like any one category, right? Like, if you choose to run too many going second cards, then you'll just open with all of them, and like when you have to go first, kind of out of luck. But I think that's fun. Like, I want more decisions to be made in the main deck. And I think, and this may be abstractly speaking, that this might actually some work in balancing the cards like the Trolls and the Lancias, because they become riskier to run, and you actually see growth. You can decide in Lancia and pick whatever turn you want to turn order you want to go to, or like the same with Troll or Shifter or whatever, or like the D-Barrier. I think that just makes those cards feel that much more polarizing. But I think if you have to, take on and assume some risk of like main decking them and them maybe not being useful in a certain matchup, it's a little scary. Would you mind main decking Dimensional Barrier, knowing that like you might just face a deck that simply rugs it off entirely, like Vanquish Soul deck or something? Hard to say. So and one last thing about the side deck conversation. Without side decking, it does mean that you get back anywhere from 3 to 6 minutes of time per round, and we know how crunchy and rushed Yu-Gi-Oh! Time tends to be, and sometimes people like slow play with side decking and stuff. So there's that. There are downsides to the fact that, some people like to maybe side deck into an entirely different strategy as opposed to just blowout cards. Sometimes people will side into a new or something, we might lose that element of creativity from it. And, fundamentally, it doesn't actually make any of the blowout cards any less broken when they work. It just means that there's more risk in running them. So I'm totally willing to accept that that's an argument as well. And then finally, just the elephant in the room is that it's tradition, and we're used to it, and the idea of kind of like away from science, something that we've grown up with for so long and had for so long, just feels like scary and unappealing. So that's why I want to hear people's thoughts on this. Try to, hear me out, give me some grace here. Like, I think that without side decking, it'd be a neat idea to try. I think it would be cool to see how players adapt to this, what changes would be made. Because we know that the best Yu-Gi-Oh! Players are going to play Yu-Gi-Oh! No matter what. I don't think that, with or without a side deck, we'll suddenly be beating Ryan Yu or Jesse Cotton because of some that unfair. No, I mean, I think like at the end of the day, Yu-Gi-Oh! will prevail. I just think this would be interesting for challenging deck building and maybe curbing some of the power of like blowout cards. Save that bit of time in the process. But yeah, I'm interested in hearing what people have to say about it. Let me know down below in the comments. I will be reading and trying to respond. And this weekend I'll be playing another regional Rosemont. Okay, so hope to see you guys there. Alright, that's gonna be it. We'll see you guys in the next one.
Could have given the letter. Ow. What the heck? What happened to my clothes? The bird's gone. How is Vale better at sneaking than Rayma? Cannot be afflicted with entangle. What do you call this? What? Love wasting time. Good. We're almost level 1, so I'll take it. We start off with a shop? How nice! wonder if this works for the entire party. Right, fuck. This guy counts as flying, right? Guess not. Right, Ray must also close each now. How does that still hit? Die. Fuck. I meant the fucking... whatever. Still works. Oh, fuck. Beautiful. Fuck me.
Monthly. Come on, Malice. Hey. Down in the ladder. Championship is around. Oh, what I was expecting. I thought I would wake up to. Million? I didn't even know it was at 1. Wait, what? It was at 1? Oh, yeah, Million Fusion. This trail for. Put enough garnets in your deck? Worth it. Wonderful. It's healthy. I don't know if this is where the actual garnet. This normal. I don't know if it's up its powers in Wesley. No. There's some crazy. Alright, oh, Billion. Wait, what? Wait, it's at 1? How long's it been at 1 for? I thought they banned it. Didn't they ban it and then unban it and then now it's... Oh, fuck. God, we're so... okay, well finally this time Master 1. Never actually got Master. But... An Emancipator? Come back, baby. And the problem is that they're going to ban Apple. And said, you know what? Everything's fine. It's just nothing happened. It's just too good. We're just gonna ignore the last months of Master. We're going to ignore the duelist. And they're gonna wait until after the World Championship for real is I guess. I suppose it makes kind of when is this? Is this implemented 10 days after the World Championship? Why? Like that's like from now on. What the hell? I've just made a World Championship ban list. One would think that the ban list, this ban list, willing to off to that World Championship. Just giving us a bunch of stuff here. It's just weird because it's that we aren't going to get the actual world championship. And technically, unless I trust me, maybe for my birthday, for 10, that's when we're getting the Apple USA map. Anyway, this is very fun. Let's try to cook up an Adamantium.
How?
39 best deck in the oh, might as well just implemented it. What are we waiting for? Unblock the block! Unblock the block! Confirm it's Gem Knights, which is coming next. Pack another ban list after helping test.
Oh, I don't have my shield anymore. That's a problem. Damn, that's some damage. God. It's awesome. Look with the poison. Also, I forgot to go to the outhouse. You know what? I'm ignoring it. Expensive. Ooh.
Recently, I've been getting destroyed a lot in Mario Kart World, and I have two theories. One, everyone else got better, or I got worse, or like some combination of that. I guess that's two theories, I don't know. But the other one is that a lot more people are targeting me. Okay. Oh, no, okay, that was not targeting me. And, you know, this happened on stream. There was one where it was like, it was so much targeting, it was ridiculous. I couldn't get a single good race. But then, you know, there are times where just like, I join one of these Discord lobbies, and my name is Shortcat. I like rocking the name Shortcat, I like the challenge. I don't mind when people target me, but, you know, I can't always tell. Sometimes someone just attacks me, and okay. Sometimes someone just attacks me and I'm like, you know, did that make sense? Or was that specifically because they saw the name Shortcat and all their neurons just activated at once? So, today, I figured I would do a little test. I'm going to play as Shortcat, and then I'm going to change my name a little while later. Ooh. Nice. See, literally, okay. I got a head bounce and no item. No. Oh, the
want to pass me already? Okay, that's rough. Try not to get hit again. Oh, that was close. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Okay. We're gonna say no targeting as a group. But I'm watching everyone. I'm in the short band lobby, and last time I was in here, they tried to kill me. Yes, they're saying it could be me. They recognize the sticker. That's exactly why I picked the sticker. I usually keep changing stickers, but they're doing their detective work. Yes, target me. I'm not gonna tell them that, but I feel like they will anyway. And then just run these up. I want this. Maybe I should have used it earlier and potentially sold your money. Now it probably won't, but he actually going for me. That, okay, like, when someone does that in a star, I mean, well, I wasn't the only one nearby, but come on. Screen shell's coming. Oh, yeah, that is a boomerang. This is a fine
just
spot to
objectively
play
better,
anyway.
what the hell?
Nice. Oh, Chai Drip didn't come out. No. I need to slow down here. Okay, come on, steal something good. I wish I stole their triple reds. Please. Third, nice. They always pick Dino Juggler. As if I'm really good at this online or something. That's just not the case. It's a baggy track. My former world record doesn't do anything for me, but I have noticed people in these Mario Kart World Discord lobbies have gotten way better. I used to get a lot of easy wins when I play here, and now, depending on the lobby I join, a lot of them are just full of sub players. I definitely had a huge advantage at the start that I was just playing this game every day as soon as it came out. Not everyone could even get a Nintendo Switch at the start. Okay, good amount of coins. They're going. That was definitely a going for me green shell. I know when I sense it. Right there. I had to get off the rail at some point, you know? Uh-oh. Okay, bomb's gone, and of course they would drop it right there because I'm right behind them. I don't know if this is targeting or not. I don't know if I'm activating everyone's neurons and they're just deciding to attack me in particular. But what I do know is I'm gonna try switching my name later to go undercover and just see what happens. Okay, this green shell is going to come forward. So I can't. Okay, built someone nice. I have to save this for the shortcut. Start first. We love it. Shock, please let me dodge it first. No, they're targeting me. No. Don't have a red shell. Don't have a red shell. I can maybe win them. I'm not sure. I might lose. No, they have worse handling than me. Yes. Now I have proven that I am shortcut. They're gonna start targeting me even more. Get out of the way. No. Trick. Okay, well, congrats, Yapster Day. I had a real good chance that race, but got red shelled off the edge. I left and they know. You left. I don't know who you're talking about. They're not taking it well. Okay, I had to wait an entire GP to come back into the room because I guess the room filled up. But I'm finally back in here. I wanted to make sure I'm in the same room. I'm undercover. I got the sunglasses. Alright, see what we can do here. Oh, okay. Unfortunate. Let's just do a little bit of bagging here.
They get like a better bow. The Crook's cool and all, but like
more peaceful. Because what I've noticed, like the biggest difference is just ever since about, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, every time I go play online, unless it's competitive, where, people aren't targeting anyone in particular, unless it's competitive, I've noticed that I have to be careful about every single item that's near me. There's a green shell. And they're not throwing it. The person in front's not throwing it at me either! Oh, wow. I'm surprised. I took such a big risk there. But yeah, like, I just noticed every single item tends to go in my direction, and a lot of the times it makes sense. I'm not saying everyone's targeting me, but a lot of the times it doesn't make sense. And those are the ones that I'm very suspicious of, so I want to see when I'm undercover, no one knows it's me, and wonder if things are going to be different. I'm in a good spot here. Oh, no orange mini turbo. We have buff top. No, I used the mushroom to bump them off. Okay, this is weird.
Wasn't the need to go here
That
or
was
there?
off, still my
No.
star. Like, do I try to dodge shock or take the shortcut? Oh,
Courage is really
this is really
good.
good. Okay, I have 2 chances to dodge shock here. Maybe I should have used this a bit later, like, nobody's gonna shock into the glider. Okay. They try and steal their mushroom when it's too late for them. Wait, they're going for shortless? What? I guess they're holding it for blue shell. That's smart, because I just stole their mushroom and it didn't even matter to them. This feather's not good. No, what? Oh, I threw. Yeah, that's my fault. I don't know why I didn't land on the next rail. I even got the extra left trick. That was weird. But so far, not a single item has come my way. Oh, this is amazing. It's just one race, though. We'll have to see if things stay this way. Hey, this alien crew's pretty good. Got a lot of ghosts in here. Basically, one of them. Okay, bag here. Now, I've noticed recently, whenever I do this, someone sits in the shortcut with the Mega Mushroom and completely ruins my race. And the other day, someone target shocked me, but like they shocked me right after my dodge ended, and they like completely sacrificed their own race to do it. So, let's see if any of that stuff should not happen today, right? No way. I should be sitting pretty with these items and being able to strategize without somebody just coming along doing something super weird and messing it all up. Oh, well, that's my fault. Yeah, I'm gonna see what I get here. That Beepa's really far back. That Beepa might be trolling a little bit, just a little bit.
Oh, the frame is gonna stick to the front.
Okay, get rid of this. Just wait for everyone to come down and then just snipe me out of boxes with this. Oh, yeah, that bomb. Stay away from Cat Quack. What? I meant to use the green shell, I didn't get it out.
I'm just gonna sell those.
Did I pass the Waluigi at the line? Yes, second place. Okay, that was going really, really bad. And still somehow came back. And it just feels a lot more peaceful now. I did mess up on the first race, but this feels really good. I gotta do this more often. And I like my chances running this track. If it's gonna be relatively peaceful. No mushroom. Is that a second place point? The coins up just a little bit, and then we're good to go. I just want to back up a little bit by grabbing the coins, and then I can potentially have a higher chance of pulling mushrooms. This is good. Nice.
I'll take that.
Actually, I don't know about being in first. I could get blue shell. Oh well. I'm out of drafting distance. We just hope chaos happens back there, but not to me. Wow, nothing so far. Maybe I'll let the Waluigi pass me, not gonna try and hit him.
Let's go!
Pass me. To myself. Again! Okay, the blue shell still hasn't come, that's crazy. I don't want him near me anymore. I'm just playing for no myself. And no one has tried to hit me all race. That's crazy. What?
Why do we keep getting
I'm
poisoned?
bypassing the finish line. You'll love to see it. I guess the Discord lobbies just hate shortcuts. Yeah, I'm gonna try something different. I'm just gonna try going forward. I usually go for mushrooms on this track, but wow, a lot of people went forward. I probably could have slowed down just a bit and got a mushroom. Yeah, so I'm in second, but with no mushrooms. Let's draft. Oh, like a buffalo car. There's a draft. Hopefully I can pull mushrooms at some point here. Nice. Okay, we're all full up here. We're all gonna be trying to hold our mushrooms. So we can just chill out, everyone. Not pull an attack out of initiative. It's pretty good. Oh, the Cataquack is officially not holding a mushroom. Just gonna use this to get ahead. Whoa. We could get blue shell, but I don't want to get hit by the pack behind me, you know? If I held that mushroom, I wasn't gonna be in first to be able to touch a blue shell anyway.
I don't mind the chaos, honestly.
Just get my coins up, keep extending my lead. My coins is still really low, but I definitely want to still build it up real quick. And I know I'm probably not getting red shell. We don't hit Rika there. Oh, they were further behind than I thought. Someone though. I'm not too concerned about having this banana get stolen in my first slot because no one's gonna red shell me. They just holding the mushroom. I think Rika just messed up. They went for the same thing I did and the rail took them out of bounds because that rail points towards the out of bounds for like free roam reasons. That's funny.
I forgot to
Okay, but because of the short
swap
side,
items around, but
I just need no one to dodge the shock and I can probably win.
I think right now this is fine. Oh, Rayma was supposed to give those God's beards.
Right here should be good though. It's gonna be hard to get around if you did take a good line. Yep, got someone. Please don't blue shell now. Okay. No one up here dodged. I think I just win. Yes, yes, it's just so peaceful. You know what, like, I was thinking, this game feels a lot more chaotic lately. I don't know, was I just being targeted? Even not much, right? Like, not a lot of people have to target me and not even opted for it to feel like I'm being targeted, because when there's 23 other racers, only a few things need to go against me for it to feel really bad. But this was the most peaceful session. The #1 most peaceful session I've played in a while. I'm sure there was some luck to it, but I rarely score this high ever anymore. You know what? Another thing is, like, we still have some good players here, but I think some of the other good players have left. So, oh well. I'm gonna play another set of 4 races, see how I do. Maybe that was all luck. We get a bigger sample size. And you can take the final 20. Oh, that's weird. Okay, okay, okay. I'm slowly prejudiced. No. Oh, that was so weird.
That's annoying.
Attached. Yeah, I think this is so much airtime, but I have to do this. Get a mushroom. Need to get rid of this as soon as possible. Sorry, Freaka. That can hit. This one will hit. I use that too late. Okay, that's good. Second round.
Those crickets are coming from the game, what the fuck? I was so confused. Bollocks. Are you joking? What does days do actually? Amazing. That wasn't even the enemy being good. That's just Rayma genuinely sucking. Probably just gonna be sold.
I've got some purple like a red for like 6 pounds.
Finding a village usually includes a blacksmith. It has a chest filled with items. Have you ever wondered, out of the millions of blacksmiths in Minecraft, which one has the rarest chest open? Well, earlier this year, a great sea behind the galaxy on a quest to find out. We ran code to simulate Minecraft's world generator. Searched through countless programs, we discovered this fabled thing. Which has a blacksmith, not even generated, has 21 diamonds. Twist enough for survival. If you're wondering whether it's possible to find more, the galaxy is high. But according to his calculations, it's impossible to find a blacksmith or diamonds. What if I told you there exists an even stranger blacksmith? Located in this found by the legendary sea. Also searching for rare chests. Generated 5 nether. This estimates most of 1 trillion chests. But this is only blacksmith. Maybe one. What about the rarest chests in other structures? Believe it or not, there are chests out there much rarer and stranger. We're gonna look at in the next episode. Stick around. In this video, we're gonna take a look at some of the rarest things ever found in Minecraft, most of which I bet you've never seen. Sit back, subscribe, let's go. Exploring structures, you may come across enchanted items and effects, such as green weapons, enchanted but it's exponentially rarer to find items and effects. Meaning that finding the best enchanted items requires using codes to display world information. A handful of people in Minecraft have the knowledge of doing this. One of these people don't know is to find some of the rarest things in Minecraft, such as the dungeon with pixel that we looked at. So let's go back to February of this year. This was conducting a large-scale hunt for the rarest items. We started off by searching across all ends to find the strongest. First of these is the slime, which can be found on this, generated from slime 5. Next we found the sharpness. possess sharpness 4 and 6 other enchantments. It may be disappointed that sharpness 5, but according to this, was sharpness 5. Edge enchantment. How enchantments work. When finding this, you had to make a trade-off with the most enchantment. Finally, we have the Bane of Arthropods 5. Like the others, it's 7 total. Despite Bane of Arthropods being useless, or so easy, we'll probably use it to combine with the Shroud. Now that we've seen the best to other structures, this also seems to be ended up finding three insane jungle. First is located on this left enchantment. The second temple also has another book with 11. This time, then, you find that 11 enchantments in the structure. So all these books will become different enchantments. Next temple also has Silk Cut, but also has Curse of Vanishing. But makes this book incredibly lucky and unlucky. Final temple is Curse of Light. Finally, this socially strong. These books cut down the list. 11 enchantments. Had to use commands to see what it is. Now you have actual world seal 11 enchantments, which is this seal and 11 enchantments. Much of it is fine. Another seal. Painful. Well, at this point, it may seem like common occurrence. Mind that only one traditional chest will touch overpowered. Despite their near impossible fail, maybe surprised when it comes to other structures, that's their unique, strange. Next. The rarest blacksmith, the rarest enchanted item, but ruined portals also have some very unusual. As we uncover this, starting with this one, which is very deep underground, down by the sea find a fragrant rock. When you open this chest, you find many pairs of gold. Possibly the worst rare loot. Straight out of the rather than a ruin. This next one, down by empty Alex of the chest, 141 iron nugget, which makes it the second most useful rare chest. But let's move on from the bad chest. One of the most useful ones ever. This next chest is located 10 blocks away from it. It was discovered by the expert sea finding script. So you already know this chest is an enormous stack of golden carrots. Because golden carrots are some of the best saturation, meaning they keep the hunger bar longer. Makes this the most nutritional chest in all of Minecraft. By eating the whole stack, you can probably rid thousands of blocks. What about an even more useful? Because this one gives you a starting right when you sleep. Now by entering through galaxies, portal, almost every armor. That the maximum of an armor in a chest is 8.
God
It's
damn it.
impossible to find one with everything. Galaxies, they don't complement, have everything.
Some cost fallacy, am I right?
You'll have enough gold to craft them. The fact that this is right at school makes it feel like a bonus chest. At this point, we're reaching the limits of much stranger. Still using the rarest food, because that record goes to this one. Discovered by a sea finder called Sea. Chest currently holds the record for the most expensive golden apple. 5. Keep in mind, the average golden chest has a 1.5% chance of a single independent gap. That having 5 and 1 is almost supernatural.
This time for sure.
Yes, this
Finally, holy shit.
14 Going episode 9. Find that golden apples are much more common. This is still very impressive. It makes the secret face that it actually has another chest with 5 gapples and then that you can judge for yourself how rare it is. But anyway, that's enough rare chests for now, which means it's time to find some of the rarest world chests. Find a fragrant gold covered in travel to this location on bedrock. Find a lake that's completely frozen. When you get to the center, realize the ocean monument is partially generated. It's very simple. Because of its strange location, part of it is left exposed. You may know this is never supposed to happen in the ocean. Covered by water. As you can see, they even tried to add some water around. Parts of the monument are still on dry land. It's snow on it. Believe it or not, this is the closest the monument will ever get to being on dry land. Make sure to see this yourself before it gets mushroom island ever discovered, which measured at 6.2 meters, found by the sea. But secretly, over the past few years, sea finders have been searching for the largest one in a large biome. Some of these sea finders show me 7 yolks. Island of large biome. Think of
Whoa, that was hard.
Only one of 2 islands that have ever been discovered in over 100 million blocks. As I was working on this video, I received an urgent message telling me that the record was somehow broken again. It turns out another seed finder called Andrew took it upon himself to find a bigger one. Those who don't know, Andrew's the one responsible for finding the seed of no Andite, as well as the infamous quintuple pig. He's also the only person in the world to have the complete list of every Minecraft seed. Knowledge of Minecraft is unrivaled and has earned him an almost mythical reputation. The program, and he managed to use the power of his graphics device to destroy the search. Over the course of a single day, Andrew found over 900 mushroom islands, large biomes that were over 88 million blocks, and many islands over 5.5 million blocks were normal biomes. Keep in mind that only seeds ever found the year category. So Andrew single-handedly all other seed finders thousands of hours of the strongest CPU. Andrew even discovered a new record, the biggest mushroom island in normal biomes, an island over 6.7 million blocks. As for large biomes, Andrew found the king of all mushroom islands, coming in at over 170 million blocks. Not knowing just how rare this is significantly bigger than the second mine at 109 blocks, and even zooming out on the seed map, get along the other biomes. The mushroom islands are supposed to be normal to everything else, making this one of the craziest anomalies in Minecraft. Fun fact, this is 2,000 blocks in the sky took about 12 hours
I'll give this to Umag,
and the fact that
since
this is
she's
located tens of millions of blocks away from spawn.
not having a good time with movement.
If you're curious on what the longest mushroom island, luckily as I was editing this video, I said it found this sea, which has an island that measures about 27,000 blocks across each side. This has just over 98 million blocks of surface area. Right now, it's about the 10th biggest island over the top. Hey guys, it's Robin from the future, because just as I was about to upload this video, it turns out that Show-Me7 used Andrew's program to reclaim the record by finding an even bigger island that's 125 million blocks in size and almost 29,000 blocks across, which also takes the record for the longest one. And for normal biomes, another seed finder called Techo also used Andrew's method to find a 6.9 million block island. And believe it or not, there's even a leaderboard at this island, so who knows what else they'll find in it. And despite these mushroom islands being incredibly large and tiny compared to this next thing, in the early days of Minecraft, I've always wanted to see a survival island surrounded by endless ocean. However, the reality is, it's an almost impossible task to find. You'll always eventually reach other land biomes, but despite that, some people still wondered what this ocean is all of Minecraft. Over the years, many players have found the largest one. They find the biggest ocean. Largest search on modern version. That's because only 1.6 and below, oceans were much bigger, covering about 70% of the landscape. Compared to now, oceans have become tiny. Also, it's practically impossible for a normal player to randomly come across the biggest ocean on their own. The only way to find this is by using special programs, searching for millions of these. Luckily, behind the scenes, for almost 5 years, finders ran secret searches to find the biggest one. So let's start with normal biomes. For normal biomes, the biggest ocean is on this sea, found by Show-Me7, which has an ocean that stretches 90,000 blocks across each side. It would already take you 5 days to cross by swimming, but this is nowhere near the record of large biomes. As for large biomes, the biggest ocean is on this legendary sea, found by a sea finder called Delvin 4519, where an ocean generated hundreds of thousands of blocks across, with its area covering billions of blocks. It may be hard to comprehend just how big it is, but for more context, the biomap zoomed out. And next to it, the biomap, the biggest mushroom island. You can imagine just how massive this ocean is. Tiny scale. At its longest point, this ocean goes from almost X minus 200,000 over
It's like, why haven't I been using this attack?
And if you're wondering how long it would take you to swim across that, in the old versions, there was no swimming. You could only swim about 1.3 blocks per second. If you were to try and swim across this giant ocean from one side to the other, which is about 550,000 blocks at its longest, it would take you about 120 real-life hours of non-stop swim, since you also lose about 1 hunger bar per 100 blocks of swim. So you'd die of starvation only about 2,000 blocks in on your journey, meaning you'd have to bring a boat, but it would still take you real-life days of boating to escape. What's even more convenient about this is that when you spawn, you'll be on a tiny island, on the edge of a bigger island, nothing but a couple of trees and tree, and all around you, you have endless ocean, with nothing but distantly scattered mushroom islands, making this objectively the best survival island in all of life. If you were looking for that challenge, here you go, you won't find a better scene. Honestly, the world island of this generation is very unique. Now that we've seen the biggest ocean in old updates, what about the biggest modern version? Well, Show Me 7 ran a search and found this sea, which has a mega continent, which stretches about 1,000 kilometers. Incredibly rare in modern version. As we talked about, oceans are very small, but despite its sheer scale, this is how small it is compared to the biggest ocean. It goes to show how abnormally large that ocean is. But now that we've seen what the best sea finders do, let's look at a few anomalies that were discovered without by complete random chance. July of 2025, a Reddit user called Experience775 was playing Minecraft like normal with his friend. They came across a strong. They made their way to the portal room, only to discover a fossil perfectly aligned with the end. Usually, if something abnormal generates an end, a bad thing, because it breaks the portal. This time, this occurrence almost seems to be good. Because not only is the portal untouched, but you're able to get 14 exposed diamonds for free right before you go to the end, making this one of the luckiest endings. According to Experience Pretend, from his research, he said that this is about a 1 in 300,000, which isn't the rarest anomaly. For a non-sea finder, it's very impressive. We all know that the only way to Minecraft is furnace campfire. But earlier this year, a Reddit user called University Melodic discovered a seed where you can get cooked natural. At this location, animal pen generated right next to flowing lava. When the lava starts burning the fence, it makes the animals catch on fire and naturally drop cooked meat. This doesn't always happen, by the way, because of random, but most of the time it does. University Melodic said he was just manually searching for rare things and came across it. And similar to the previous anomaly, it's not the rarest thing in the world. The seed finder called Epic 10L2 said that even with programming, it can be a bit hard to search. So for a random player, this is very unusual. December of 2022, a Reddit user Molly123 discovered a strange seed. It spawned directly inside a cage with an iron golem, but there's more to this seed than meets the eye. When I tried it for myself, the spawn radius made it so that it's a very unlikely chance of spawning that exact spot with an iron golem. And it took hundreds of tries of reloading and respawning until I got the specific spawn. What's absurd is that this person isn't the seed finder, meaning that not only did they come across this seed by random chance, but they also got the exact spawn inside the golem. Almost unnaturally rare for a non-seed. Also, it looks like the start of the where you wake up trapped in an enemy camp, and I'm surprised the golem doesn't even die twice when you're trapped in it. Looks like you could make a whole backstory about this spawn. Now that we've seen what non-seed finders do, let's get back to some more one-of-a-kind anomalies that seed finders. October 2022, William Calvin, he came across something unusual. Type in this seed, moment be ambushed by a witch and her cat, making this already a very chaotic story. You'll also notice there's a ruined wood, which luckily has golden apples and gems, as well as a sword to help fight off the attack. But the weird thing about this is that despite there being a witch, no witch hunt is done. Basically, only knows
was overwritten by this ruined portal. Queen Cowmilk says that it's very hard for a ruined portal to completely overwrite a witch hut, because during his seed hunt, he found lots of seeds, but parts of the hut were still standing, making this occurrence incredibly rare. So it makes sense that this witch would be angry, since her house basically got bulldozed, but she's still not as unlucky as this next one, found by Endermander 111, which has a hut, but somehow got stranded on a deserted island in the middle of the ocean. I thought that was strange. This next witch hut is even more abnormal. This was found earlier this year by the seed finder Dookie8876. The naked eye, this doesn't seem too unusual, but what makes this hut unique lies below the surface. Despite looking like your average run-of-the-mill witch hut, if you go underwater, you'll notice that this one is unnaturally long support beam, with the unusual depth of this one. Keep in mind that witch huts in water are usually only a few blocks deep, making this one of the deepest witch huts ever found. Now, let's move on from witch huts to something different and all. Down by Millie Calvin, we discovered some seeds which are straight up inappropriate. Over the years, seed finders have dedicated their time to finding the most mysterious and impressive seeds that exist in Minecraft. But have you ever wondered what happens if they use their seed finding powers to search for forbidden seeds that Mojang doesn't want players to find? You might be wondering what I mean by that. Well, just take a look at this seed. It's born in an ocean, with nothing but fish in front of it. This is a real seed, discovered by Millie Calvin. This location looks like it was custom built by someone, rather than naturally generated. Mojang, you have a lot of explaining as to why this seed exists, but if you thought that was weird, get ready to see the next one. Because in September of 2022, Queen Cowmilk ran another search, and this time, he discovered a village, a villager house. Since he named this village New York, you can probably see where this is going. It's one of the most deepest seeds in all of Minecraft. Unknown how Queen Cowmilk did search for this. The fact that he's a very skilled seed finder means that if he wanted to, he could find even more forbidden seeds. So only time will tell if he does, or if other seed finders go rogue like him. But now let's move on to the next anomaly, which is an incredibly rare location, which is perfect for a survival challenge. September of 2024, seed finder Fragrant Results was searching for unusual remains. He ended up finding this seed, which spawned in a survival island about 200 blocks from the ground, making this one of the few seeds where a giant island generates ground right at spawn. This island is so big that it has several trees, both acacia and oak, as well as wildlife, coal and iron ore. It has a small cave that goes right through it, making this one of the best survival seeds ever found. The only small problem with it is that there's no water or lava. So if you want to take on the challenge of surviving here, you might want to give yourself a starter chest with lava, water, and obsidian. Try to survive here until you're ready to fight the dragon. A seed finder called Colin Henry was filtering through ants when he discovered something unusual. Go on this seed, beat the dragon. The gateway will teleport you to the top of the ant ship. However, unusual. By looking at the rest of the ant seed, nothing seems off about it. Colin realized that for some strange reason, the ant seed is mostly generated location. The corridors are cut off. Even on the cube iron seed map, it shows that it should have kept going. Keep in mind, Colin has conducted extensive seed finds in the end. Never come across something like this. He theorized that this happened to the end gateway that generated atop the ship, which isn't the rarest occurrence, but its position may have somehow influenced the generation of the End City itself. But that's not the only strange End City coincidence, because in July he found this seed. There's another End City that seems completely normal. However, if you go to its far side, you quickly realize something is off about it. For some reason, one of its branches generated in such a way that made it extremely long, stretching far beyond what you'd expect. What's even weirder is that you'll notice that there's a walkway that's supposed to lead to an end ship. However, the ship is completely new. You may be wondering how this is even possible. Well, the only way this can happen is the ship generated outside of the 17 by 17 chunk radius of origin. Fairly known occurrence that ships can be partially cut in half because a section of them has gone past the radius, but having a ship is extremely rare and only possible with the sheer length of the N-sea. From the environment, you can also see that the ship was supposed to generate. This also begs the question of what's the longest possible N-sea? Does its two arms stretch this far out on each side and get an incredibly long sea? Imagine if that happened on all 4 sides, obviously with only one engine. Sadly, no one's found this so far. But anyway, now that we've seen those strange end signals, let's move on to some more unusual structures. In the past, we've looked at villages that have had some houses generating underground, as well as villages with no houses. There's never been a secret of the entire village underground. That's because villages are supposed to generate on the top layer on flat land, so you never think there could be a secret of the entire village underground. Well, the interesting thing about this game is that nothing's ever truly impossible, because every new galaxy took it upon himself to find it, and he ended up discovering this secret of the village well, a single house that generated underground. People walking past this place never even realized that it was technically a village. The reason this happened is because this village tried to generate its abnormal location, a strange cave that overlaps with the file chamber. The village generated below everything. Even though this is a tiny village, the fact that a house generated makes it a proper village. It felt some glitched one with no house. The only reason there aren't more houses is because the game couldn't find anywhere to place them. But there's also something creepy about this scene, because some of these torches from the village generated by themselves underground. So imagine you were strip mining and randomly came across them. It's the kind of stuff you'd see in a creepypasta, like someone else is in the world. Now that was a pretty small village, but have you ever wondered what's the smallest village of all time? Well, look no further than this scene. Found by a finder called Awesome Player 98, which has a single beam.
It doesn't matter what distance everyone is, I guess.
Parts,
That's
making
good.
it even smaller than villages with no houses. This one's not completely underground, so there's some light shining. But again, we have no idea this was walking past this. Travel through an end gateway. Find small islands scattered all throughout the end of it. Most people don't know that it's possible for these islands to stack on top of each other. So in January of 2024, Chris wanted to find a stack possible. With his seed-finding knowledge, he helped with some Minecraft at home effort. Ran a search, what he found were 2 insane seeds. First is this one, which has the largest endstone typical chunk, 22 blocks tall, made up of 2 small endives. The largest one possible was this seed, 4 endives across 2 chunks, making it insane 26 blocks. The time that you need to travel over 25 million blocks to get it. No, it's complete. Anyway, now let's head back to the overworld. Strange December of 2023, seed covered a seed with an unusual concentration of spawners. For some reason, this mountain needs spawners, which can all be activated in a standard beam, which allows you to make the ultimate molecule. There is technically a 9th spawner here, but it can't be activated at the same time as all the rest. So let me know in the comments which seed you like most. This one or the cursed 6 spawner dungeon out like Rick. Now let's move on to a different dungeon. Found in March of 2025 by Awesome Player 98. At first glance, it looks normal, until you realize that it's somehow generated 4 chests, even though dungeons can only generate with up to 2 chests. How did this even happen? Well, to a normal person, it doesn't look like there should be a reason why there's 4 chests. But the reason this happens is 2 dungeons just happen to generate perfectly on top of each other, creating the illusion of a single dungeon. And theoretically, it may be possible for even more dungeons to generate on top of each other. Imagine coming across a spawner that has half a dozen chests surrounding it. Look almost paranormal. This next dungeon, also found by Awesome Player 98, is just as strange, because it's somehow generated perfectly symmetrical spawners with 3 chests. I don't know why, but it seems like the spawners are about to fight. Middle chest being the referee. A very strange sight. It's next to no one. Possibly one of the strangest ones ever. This was conducting a siege on the final chest of the most enchanted golden apple. He ended up finding this legendary chest, 14 enchanted gapples. And after brute forcing trillions of loot seeds, this seemed to be the absolute limit of enchanted gapples in single chests. However, Chris believed that it was possible to find a chest through an extremely obscure method. Like the trial chambers and hoppers were generated as a way to sort your inventory. Chris discovered that it was possible to have a chest naturally generated from a different structure right above the hopper. If that chest had an enchanted golden apple, it was possible for it to swim through the hopper to an ancient city chest chest is enchanted galleries happened to generate the perfect position under the hopper. It was possible for a chest to naturally happen. So Chris ran a search to find whether this concept was theoretically possible. After scouring countless worlds, Chris minecart managed to generate the same position above a hopper in an ancient city chest that somehow also generated right under. It doesn't have the theoretical loot Chris was looking for, but as you can see, the loot from the mine shaft and the ancient city gets mixed in this chest, and this makes it a proof of concept. However, despite this being possible, this is the only known instance it's happening in all of Minecraft. As Chris discovered that not even the sister city had this occurrence. After that, Chris considered finding a dungeon chest instead of a minecart on top of the hopper, and he ran extensive calculation until he discovered something that put an end to the search. He found that if he searched every single seed and chunk in existence, then there's only a 50.7% chance that a population seed can make it out the chest somewhere in Minecraft. But as you can imagine, the sheer computing power required for this operation makes it unfeasible for one person to accomplish. Someone managed to comb through the entirety of Minecraft seed. It's still a coin toss as to whether this exists, meaning that this project is now on indefinite hold, unless something gets added to Minecraft to make it more possible. So if a chest of enchanted apples is one of the rarest theoretical things that can ever happen in Minecraft, it will likely be located tens of blocks away, in the corners of woods or sea. In April of this year, M3 Galaxy issued a challenge to his fellow seafarers. Told people to go on this sea, try to find the end portal near these coordinates. That is find this only eyes abandoned around. Quickly realized that it's almost impossible. Go to spectator mode, ready to locate the portal. And if you don't believe, I'm in spectator mode now, right in front of the portal. Let me know if you can. I'm guessing a lot of you didn't. That's because this is actually the most end portal in all of Minecraft, which somehow generated, stashed away inside the foundation of an ancient city. Like the silverfish spawner in the rubble. Maybe this is a hint by Mojang that this is indeed an ancient city portal. While this is already insane, something else unique about this location is how the stronghold and ancient city merged together. So if you explore this area, you'll find ancient ruins, the corrupted library, which probably contains forbidden knowledge. All of this would be very randomly comical. You expect this to be a bedrock edition, but somehow it's on Java. Like for some reason, the portal was intentionally hidden. Didn't know, each chunk in Minecraft has a 10% chance of becoming something known as a slime chunk, which is a chunk that allows slime to be underground. Over the years, many people have attempted to find the largest area of slime in Minecraft. The problem is that because of the 10% chance of each slime chunk is exponentially rarer to find multiple slime chunks near each other, and the 10% chance of each portal frame being put annihilated. But I did some digging. I found out 5 years ago, a seed finder called Techman88 conducting a search for the biggest area of slime chunks. Some of his finds included a 6x4 area of slime chunks. However, that wasn't the big one. The best find was this. Seed that somehow has a solid 5x5 slime chunk, as well as 3 extra ones connected, creating 28 connected slime chunks, making this the biggest slime chunk in history. What's crazy about it is that you replace the stone with grass, turn this into a mini flat world, leave the slime. That is, if you can take the almost 8 minutes of the journey, then after finding this, Techman88 is 2 seeds. Other seeds, 6x4 5x5 area. For now, this seems to be the limit of the slime chunk, making this one of the most on the next one, make sure to subscribe, since my goal is to get 100 subscribers. I'm gonna be cutting it close, there's only 4 months left, but let's make it happen. Now let's move on to the next couple. The strangest buried treasures ever. That buried treasures usually generate around coastline. Without these treasures, in many cases, chests location. But this anomaly isn't about the rarest generation of buried treasure. You may be thinking that buried treasures cannot be that strange, as we've seen in the past, found in strange locations, such as one that was buried under bedrock. For an episode, so in December of 2022, Sea Finder Dylan went on a siege under the sea. This her treasure chest somehow generated. My knowledge, this is the only known occurrence.
Shit, I meant the
I
taunt.
couldn't find any other mention. The reason this happened is something to do with the ruined and generated location. As ruined portals can sometimes override the terrain, which probably happened here, chest generated. We also found another chest, semi-exposed. However, this one generated right over a ruined portal chest, creating a small stack of chests. Bigger stacks have been found, such as the 3 chest stack found with ocean. However, there's never been decided what is happening. Other than no, it's craziest chest. We discovered another one, this sea, which generated a buried treasure over 100 blocks of time. And why 100 blocks? This is even partially exposed. Makes it even important. What if I told you that the buried treasure was generated higher than this sea currently holds the record, the highest naturally generated treasure ever found. Found by Damn Duck, same height, Y203. That's a sequence, maybe one of the lowest buried treasure of all time. Well, I already mentioned the one that's at bedrock level. That was on an old version where bedrock was a Y4, and now bedrock found a much deeper level. Sadly, after one buried treasures, certain collection of blocks, etc. Blocks of treasures generating low Y0 modern version, but in a recent snapshot, surface blocks generate lower levels. For buried treasure generated at Y-6, setting the new record. Now let's move on to the next one. Doing these would found a different kind of strange thing. October of 2021, covered a very interesting scene. Go to this location, find an abandoned strangest cacti in Minecraft. From the outside, it seems normal, but this cactus is in a very unique situation. At any moment, it will collapse. That's because you'll notice that the sand right above it is floating. As soon as the cactus grows one more block, it updates the sand. It drops and destroys itself. This is the only known cactus in existence that does something like that. One of the only ways you can find a naturally dropped cactus item. Now let's move on to the next anomaly, where we'll take a look at some of the craziest spawn points ever found. Common knowledge that when you respawn in a Minecraft world, you'll always be roughly in the same position. What if I told you there's a Minecraft sea that, depending on your luck, you can spawn above the clouds or inside an ancient sea? This strange phenomenon was found in June of 2025 in the galaxy. The lowest possible spawn on this sea is a Y-49, the highest a Y-197, with a difference of 246 blocks, which gives the sea the greatest spawn height variation out of all worlds. This isn't the only strange spawn. There are a few other ones considered more rare, such as this sea, found in August of 2021 by floating to this world, boasting the lows of 93 floating screens. This is actually one of the rarest floating screens ever discovered. There's something strange going on with the chunk color, which is what this loading screen represents. But what makes this even crazier, the moment you spawn, you're instantly crawling inside a ruin, stranded in nowhere. To make things worse, there are ocean ruins around everywhere. So we see the biggest spawn variation, rarest loading screen. This next spawn point is technically impossible, because if you didn't know, in the modern version, ocean maidens can't spawn underground, so you have to spawn on the sky exposed block. However, in June of this year, the galaxy made an interesting discovery. Somehow on this sea, it's more underground. This happened in the location of this village, just past blocks that generated right above them. They generated right after you spawned in. Instead of spawning on top of them, you end up underground, making it one of the modern version. Despite how rare this is, Dust bedrock emissions were naturally generated in one block channel. Not really much you can do up and escape by jumping into the void. There are some spawns which are much harder. For example, this one found by Empty Galaxy has an almost soft rock sea, because you'll spawn on this giant pillar. You try to jump off, try to fall down. However, M3 said that it is possible to escape by digging down to mine 25 and mine 30, bridging 4 blocks, which allows you to jump off safety. Now that we've seen these spawn points, let's move on to the next level, which contains one of the most interesting terrain in Minecraft. Earlier this year, reaching for the highest point in Minecraft, an ice spike that reached Y301, which I mentioned back in episode 10. Know that during that time, I searched over 100 accidentally came across another anomaly. Spawn on this, everything seems normal. If you keep walking, you realize that you actually are one of Minecraft's rarest mountains. And with this sea, built shattered, and brought up a large chunk of land up into the sky. Some cars have been reaching past the height. Fire is 20 meters high up. This giant landmark stretches about 240 blocks across. It is about 110 blocks wide. Its own ecosystem, animals and plants on top of the world. Let me know if you can think of a name, because this is truly one of a kind. What's most interesting about this sea is that if you put an elytra, it becomes a naturally generated obstacle. Because there's so many nooks and crannies you can fly through, that you could host an entire elytra competition up. I'd highly recommend trying it out. Now let's move on to the next one, which is another rare mountain for an entirely
I forgot.
reason.
Damn it, I'm so used to the way For the King does it.
July of 2025, already used for Korea, was playing on his survival like before. However, through exploration, he came across something very unusual. He was exploring a nearby area to his base when he discovered a mountain which, upon closer inspection, was suspiciously light with carbon. The fact that this was not red and not seen light makes it all the more red. Other than this, the location isn't that strange. Try this, just be careful. Never know. July of 2023, Gregory Salt discovered a unusual, some strange reason, jungle temple generated strand ocean, which covers no surprise, not bedrock, and even a single temple in the ocean would have been that inside of each other, making it a very strange phenomenon. Although these are stranded on the water, one of the deadliest temples ever. This was discovered by Dylan, where a desert temple somehow generated lava cave, like some sort of ancient relic. The only good thing about it is that you can't accidentally die to it. It gets cut off by the feather. That also means there's no looting as well, making this very useless unless you care about archaeology. And it would have at least been interesting if you all went through them. But anyway, now that we've seen temples in strange and unsafe locations, there's one that this sea and desert temple somehow generated a forest. That's because a tiny desert managed to generate. Though this looks weird, at least it's more peaceful. September of 2022, a famous sea climber cracked back covered a sea and read the entire game, jumped to spawn. The only thing you can do is activate the bonus chest. No wood whatsoever. The wood from the bonus chest is good. You have to use the wisely, and at first glance, this chunk may seem barren. To the ground, you'll find a strong enough lava to make it. The moment you enter the temple, you find yourself in the middle of a fortress, which allows you to get away. There's also a walk to forest. You get ender pearls as well, all in the same chunk. Then once you come back and fill out the end portal, then you're allowed to jump and do it. After all, this is a very rare scene, a great jump. Now let's move on to the next level, which has some more crazy projects. Years ago, Gregory Salt was one of the most unusual islands in life. From a distance, you can already tell something is off about it. Just a giant pillar in the middle of the ocean. The more you explore, the stranger it gets. Because there's also a desert temple, very tiny bit, and this didn't even try to spawn on the surface, making it look like it's been buried by the sands. It gets even crazier. Inside the temple, also a ruined portal as well. This whole island feels like something you'd see in one movie, rather than Minecraft. It's like someone tried to hide all their treasure. some parkour jumps in Minecraft are harder than others. Most people find a 4-block jump. I was wondering, what's the hardest parkour jump in all of Minecraft? So I asked a YouTuber who knows about this one. He showed me this legendary jump. No projected 45 straight. What if I told you that this is such a hard parkour jump? I managed to beat it. It is a major anomaly. So let me give you some context. You all know that sprint jumping gains you. Not many people know that by doing 45 straights while jumping, gives you approximately more momentum every jump. By doing this consecutively, you can start to do almost impossible jumps. So the duo quadruple jump is 42 to perfect 45 straights in a row. Keep in mind that you can't just stay at 45 degrees. Sprint jumping straight actually lowers your you'll have to sprint jump starting at 0 degree, go to 45 degrees, late, go right back to 0, sprint jump again, repeating this 42 times in a row, which allows you to do the hardest jump in Minecraft. Only possible by 0.071 block, approximately 9 protons, meaning that if you somehow manage to do this jump, it's rarer than almost every other anomaly in Minecraft. Even with full assistance, one person managing to has to do it, meaning that making this jump on your own borderline impossible. If you're wondering why it's only 42 straights in a row and not more, well, the tubers have moved every time you do a 45 straight. It's not 0 at some which happens around the 43rd, so it's not worth doing any more past it. But either way, this jump is so crazy. Ever of dropping into hardcore civilization. So let's hope F-Boat. Many strange anomalies happen in ocean bodies. The one we saw earlier in this video is one that affects because it's an elder we looked at in episode 9. But there are some features with ocean monuments that are often overlooked. One of these is the sponges, which are hidden rooms full of sponges. These rooms are randomly generated, that there must be a certain monument in Minecraft that has the most sponges. Well, a few years ago, a sea climber called Matt was on the hunt to find it. He ended up discovering this sea where a monument somehow generated 13 sponge rooms, making it the most in history. This is so many sponges, probably drained the entire area around the monument if you wanted to. In the past, we've already seen some of the rarest end portals in Minecraft. Portals are a glitch of one chunk, ones that are corrupted by world generation. However, this one is about an unusual shape, but to my knowledge hasn't been. This portal is complete, but only has blocks filled out. We have the abnormal position of the chunk wall, which somehow managed to cut to the far side of the portal. If you're wondering what other shapes are possible with end portals, well, an end portal can also look like this, with 4 chunks back in the middle. But to my knowledge, no one has managed to find this. Despite not being one of the rarest end portals, there are a few more strange strongholds that we're going to look at in this video, such as this one, found by sea finder. But if you walk around this stronghold, you'll notice there's an unusual number of fountains. In fact, this stronghold currently holds the record for the most fountains. There's 5 of them, making it a very peculiar sign. Turtle Kid also discovered this sea where 5 of these other rooms generated in the stronghold. The generations are very rare. Now let's move on to a different sea. Found by sea finder called it. Go to this location on this sea, find yourself at the furthest distance possible stronghold. Then the Java stronghold rings, giving you a distance of about 3,500 blocks away from the nearest stronghold. And as another seed finder described it, this location is the Point Nemo of stronghold. Now, opposite to that, have you ever wondered what happens if anyone generates too close to it? Well, take a look at this scene, found by Duke 887. The end portals right on top of each other. We talked about this being possible before, but this is an actual scene that works on the latest version that has it. This is right at spawn. Very convenient. Some overlapping strongholds. Now, I want to show you some crazy stronghold sections and other structures. Not on Bedrock Edition, but on Java. The first is this scene, not on the Galaxy.
Yo, finally, a bow.
And
it's really good.
Insane. This next one is even crazy. Now by Arch,
It breaks
the
though.
surface stronghold. Second, both the desert temple and field.
But it'll work for
Inside
now.
This temple, third. But the key of all overlapping strongholds, this sea, covered by Dylan DC 14, founded for a seed finding back in 2021. Seed and its sister seed, which are some of the rarest strongholds ever discovered in Minecraft. Out of all of them, this native particular is by far the craziest. As an island with a surface stronghold, bridged with a village, ocean ruins, a portal, and a shipwreck all in one spot, making this the most chaotic island ever discovered. As I mentioned, expect something like this to be on Bedrock again. Somehow, this is on Java, which makes it all the more rare. Minecraft, some anomalies are incredibly rare, but are too short to talk about for a long period of time. So now, we're going to take a look at various small anomalies that be found by seed finders, but aren't big enough to have a whole section on them. Starting with this village chest, which found by M3 Galaxy, has 8 furnaces height. Actually holds the record for the most furnaces chests. Surprisingly, the chances of finding these are 1 in 281 trillion, which is insane for this type of loot. The next small anomaly is this seed, not my turtle tube, which has an emerald ore in Minecraft. They didn't know that born on the surface. Why deep-slate emerald is so rare? What makes it strange is that deep-slate emeralds are only supposed to generate down to y-6. This one somehow generated at y-17. The reason this happens is because this was originally a vein of 2 emeralds that generated at y-16. Okay, remove the first emerald. Only this one at the bottom, making it the emerald emerald. Now let's move on to this seed. Found by awesome player 98. It has a tiger tree, which for some reason generated flying in the sky. Even though its position is already unusual, what makes it even weirder is that there's no tree trunk at the bottom. Instead, it just has leaves everywhere. So I guess we'll have to ask Santa as to why that happened. Now continuing with the next small anomaly, we have this one from the Galaxy. Managed to find one of the lowest chunks that are not single, but all the blocks have a surface height of less than y-54, which is very unique. Other than this, the Galaxy found some other weird anomalies as well, such as this unnatural void hole. If you remember, in the previous episode, we looked at the biggest void hole in Minecraft, created by a giant ruined portal that generated at bedrock level. However, this time, the ruined portal tried to generate below the bedrock, creating this unnatural looking hole, which you would never even notice if you were playing normal. Next, we have this sea, found by Duke 887C, where an ocean monument happened to generate right next to a single. In its abnormal position, the monument's legs are stretched far down. If you look at this from the middle, it doesn't even feel like Minecraft anymore, like you're in some sort of underwater palace. Next, we have another sea, found by M33 Galaxy, that features an abnormal image. If you look at this from outside, you can already tell that it's lost. For some reason, it's generated deep underground. If you follow the ladder down, you'll hit bedrock. This isn't as exciting as the igloo on bedrock made a void hole we saw in the previous episode. This is the best we'll get on Java. While searching for this, M3 Galaxy found some other strange things. This one, with a ladder leading down to a dungeon, that frees the villager. This other one has a generated inside lava. Next, we have this sea, found by Dylan DC14, which has 5 blaze spawners, all activatable at once, which are the most activatable blaze spawners in one spot, and this allows you to make the most overpowered blaze farm possible. Dylan also found this famous sea, which lets you spawn on deep plate emerald. Keep in mind that it's a 1 in 400 chance of spawning, though it might take you a while until you get this. But now, let's see a sea found by a sea finder called Your Local Planet. Found something that looks straight out of a cartoon. Go on this sea, find a woodland bench, and get pushed together, which is already strange, but on top of that, there's an enormous villager outpost just looming over everything. They're like the ultimate and watching the destruction down below. Anyway, now that we've seen this assortment of small anomalies, let's move on and take a look at some interesting villages. First, we have the tallest village ever found, which was discovered by M3 Galaxy, which has a village that starts at Y148, goes all the way down to Y-51, making this a 199 block tall village, which is insane. This next scene is just as crazy. It has the most villages in 1,000 block radius, found by Zen, 16 villages in the area. But what about some weird house generators? Well, on this scene, we have a very strange villager house, which somehow generated underwater. If you didn't know, villager houses are always supposed to generate on land, if there's water below them, making this incredibly unusual. And speaking of rare villager houses, Awesome Player 98 found this scene, where a church is carved right into the rock, making it feel ancient, creating a unique aesthetic that you don't normally see. And on top of that, this is flooded as well. Now, let's take a look at one of the most dangerous villages in Minecraft. Down by your local line, this village is on the brink of destruction. For some reason, the villagers decided this treacherous cabin was the perfect place to build their village. Surprisingly, all the houses are safe, but the same can't be said about the village. Last year, I received the idea to find an abnormally large minecart stack. Recently, I up with Dylan to make it happen. So, what they searched for were mineshaft corridors that generated chests all in the same location as the trial chamber. It would still be difficult to find. According to Chris, the spot in a mineshaft corridor only has a 1% chance of supporting the Chris and Dylan ran code, and they searched millions of seeds. Bill Chris found which has a stack of 6 minecarts. Mine shaft that was overridden by the trial chamber. This also says it's possible for a city that has 7 or 8 minecarts, but they're currently not looking. So if you want to keep up to date with what Chris is finding, I'd recommend subscribing, and you can find his channel in the description. Also, something interesting that's noticed that this is actually one of the furthest anomalies we've ever found, as it almost takes 30 million to get, meaning it would probably take you real-life months to travel here and survive. Goes to show how many obscure anomalies in the corner of Minecraft. That's all for now, and if you want to see more rare anomalies like this, I'll see you next time. Bye!
Help level up your health with extra.
focus with this. Let's go. Wanna find a settlement so I can stop there. Oh, nice. A lot of enemies, though.
You've never done it before, building a PC can be a daunting prospect. You don't know what parts you need, the way the wires connect, or how to deal with hardware bugs. Thankfully, these bugs are actually a benefit as they slot themselves into place to make building incredibly easy. Just instead of the PC, you're making it. But for as helpful as these bugs are, the planned obsolescence and power creep has left us buying new PCs gathering cobwebs, as newer, more powerful parts have taken their place just so players can keep up with the modern games. And that's why they're the subject of today's video, where we wonder if digital bugs ever had, or will ever have, its potential lines, as well as what it might mean for us. Digital bugs are a series of level 3-like insect monsters with a couple of common themes that tie the deck together into a working strategy. The first is that every main deck monster has an effect that will either change a monster to defense position for a positive effect, or an effect that will activate when they're changed to defense mode. Either way, these effects are actually quite good, at least in a vacuum, because they usually translate into extension. This should allow for you to easily summon out an XCs of choice, which would allow for them to work well with their secondary component. Every main deck digital bug also provides a battle phase focus bonus whenever they're used on field as a material for an XC summon, which can turn even your weakest options into powerhouses if you ever get the chance to declare an attack. And lastly, the deck's surprisingly versatile XCs options have an alternative summoning, which lets you rise through the ranks to summon out whichever XCs you can need for the circumstance you're facing on top of one of your lower ranked enemies by detaching 2 materials from them. When you piece these 3 things together, the concept behind the deck becomes clear. By using the first effects to switch your monsters to defense position, you'll get the chance to use them to swarm the field with a bunch of bugs. Then you'll be able to use these bodies to overlay into a Scaradiator that'll be souped up with the effects that you'll have inherited from whatever digital bugs you use to summon it. And from there, you can decide whether you want to keep Scaradiator for its gate, or in the situation you call it, bring them into Corbage, for its removal, or even further into like Sebas for its interaction. The game plan seems so simple that it should be foolproof, especially because we've seen a number of different strategies over the years do well with similar ideas behind them. But something definitely short-circuited with designing digital bugs, as these parts were tried. The first issue lies in the shell of the main deck, monsters. You see, prior to the deck's most recent supported Registrider, it was actually quite difficult to build your field with digital bugs using the engine, and it required a specific 2 to 3 card combo to get your deck moving at a reasonable pace, which is compounded by the fact that all the macro designed to help with the deck requires you to already have the ability to play the Registrider's release. This is a little bit less of an issue by giving you more potential 2-card combos. But there's only so much one extra extender can do to remedy an issue that's ingrained within these insects. Even if you somehow find a deck-solving strategy to summon out a bunch of these bugs, you'll encounter the deck's next big issue. Your digital bugs can only be used as an Xyz material for insect monsters specifically. Thankfully, with the advent of links, you'll always have something to do with your bodies, but the scope of what you'll do with XC summoning will always be limited to this tight restriction. Add on to the fact that your range of XCs includes specifically level 3, level 5, and level 7 on a good day, then you only have level 7 options available to your entire XC. This is made even worse by the deck's third issue. Summoning rank 5 and rank 7 monsters is too difficult to be worth it in a lot of cases. The XCs being able to rank up on insects is cool in theory for giving you constant access to them, but fails in that requiring you to attach 2 XCs material to summon them out, and severely limit their function or access, and the deck's other ways of bringing them out are just too far between. All of this isn't to say that digital bugs are an entirely unsalvageable strategy. On the contrary, some of these cards deliver on the utility well enough that they'll occasionally be considered for insect-focused strategies. And in some slower formats, such as Duel Links, cards like Rhinocebus absolutely dominated the metagame for a while. Though generally, over in the TCG, these techno-terrestrials haven't gotten to see the top of the food chain. You can definitely meld your main deck cards with other insect decks, but often the gimmick of digital bugs is a little bit too focused to mesh cleanly, which makes them a bit of a burden in a deck like this. Instead, if digital bugs see prominence within the next couple of years without any direct support, they'll likely be due to its extra deck monsters, which have decently strong effects, but are generally held back by their summoning move. If you want to summon them normally, you'll need extremely specific materials, and while their rank up is a little bit more generic, there's not many good XCs for you to use in the bridge that are worth summoning above something else. The deck's hardware definitely needs an upgrade, but its core components and payoffs have a lot of potential. So let's see if a future version of digital bugs might be capable of rapid crisis, or if they're doomed forever. Like we talked about earlier, main deck digital bug monsters share a lot of common traits between them. They're all level 3 light insects, share a restriction that prevents them from being on field for XC's materials for any limited insect, and give whatever monster you manage to summon with them an extra effect that's good in the battle phase. Likewise, these monsters all have effects that can allow for extension that either can change a monster to defense position, or for the digital bug in question to be changed to defense mode to trigger. It's this effect that usually is the difference maker between the bugs. Digital bug Centibit, for example, has the strongest potential effect out of every digital, as if you get the chance to trigger it, you'll be able to summon out any level 3 insect monster from the deck in defense position, but comes at the cost of being one of the more difficult digital bugs to activate because it requires that it's changed from attack to defense position to activate in the first place. The implication with this effect is that you can use it to bring out another digital bug to access your XC's monsters. However, the reason why it has some real prospects behind it is that it can summon out any level 3 insect in the game, and there's some pretty good ones in the pool. Might not be able to bring out your XCs since most of these choices aren't light, but with the likes of Gokipole and Transcicada can be great for getting out extra insect bodies you can use for link plays, or some of the decent XCs you can summon like Cicada King. Or if you're more focused on digital bug deck, the likes of Dream Cicada can help shift your monsters to defense mode so you can use defense. And because of this generic nature, Centibit can cross over between more modern archetypes and cards to give digital bugs more of a fighting chance in the modern era. Take Bee Trooper as an example. It can supplement just about any insect strategy, but with Centibit, you can grab some of the best Bee Troopers from the deck, even if you didn't start with them, netting you quite a bit of advantage to pick your choice. You're not just limited to Bee Trooper either. Centibit also allows greater synergy with Ragnarika, as you can natively play Samurai Beetle as a level 3 light insect that's great to draw due to its extension, and great to have in deck as a choice to summon from Centibit, because not only is it a light insect that you can use to summon Radiator, but you can also have the option of accessing your Ragnarika Link monsters, which will then allow you to use Samurai Beetle's graveyard effect and all of this is to say, Centibit can do a lot given the right opportunity, but unfortunately, you really have to force this effect to get yourself. It's far from impossible to do. On the contrary, Digital Bug Registrider and Dream Cicada are a perfect complement to Centibit, but without them, you need to get Centibit on field in attack position alongside a Web Soldier or a Complete Dancer that has yet to use their effects, which is strangely difficult to do because of the way these bugs extend is by using these effects to get on the field, making for some weirdly paradoxical lines of plays at times. If that's off the table, then you might need to force cards like Stumbling into your list to ensure that your main starter is online. But in doing that, you'll end up locking yourself out of some of your other effects that need a monster in attack position to work. It's a lose-lose scenario no matter what you do. It's awkward, but this effect has something behind it. And as more strong level 3 insects get released, there might come a day where Centibit turns into a legitimate strategy for more than just bugs. But as of right now, it's a but if you get the chance, it's a great card. And its bonus inherited effect, where it allows XC's monsters summon with it to inflict piercing battle damage and help you end games. Centibit isn't alone with having this awkward activation though. as the same condition is attached to digital bug Ladybug. When Ladybug is switched from attack position to defense position, you can search for any level 3 insect, which, like Centibit, and open the door to better synergy with other decks, or you just use it as digital bugs. Now, because Ladybug's effect is a little weaker compared to Centibit, the pool of good insects to pair it with is a little tighter. Samurai Beetle is still an open option as it can summon someone
Oh, damn, nice.
Y and C can be genuine tools I hand throughout the search. And of course, if you have yet normal.
No one could do that.
With that being said, Ladybug's effect isn't really worth the hoops you have to jump through, at least in comparison to Centibit. The easiest extender you can find is Battle Wasp Twin Bow the Attacker, but it isn't light, so you can't go for your archetype over rank 3. And something like a Samurai Beetle needs setup to be in. Even Ladybug's unique utility of searching cards with in-hand use, like points and married at night, isn't
You're
the
joking,
best,
right?
as all of these options are really niche, and would require specific formats and situations to truly be reliable. The main thing holding Ladybug back is its activation condition, much like Sentiment, but is made worse because you get less reward for overcoming this hurdle. But there are some cute ideas behind this card, and if more cards are printed that work well with this effect, scales could end up tipping in favor. But right now, it's definitely not a favorable way to start off the turn. There is a small light in the tunnel for Ladybug though. It's the digital bug that gives the best inherited effect of XC Summon, as whenever the monster that uses that non-field material destroys a monster by battle, you can draw a card for free, which is just straight up a great bonus to have, allowing you to replenish your hand a little bit after the effort you went through to bring out its seeds. Thankfully, there are a couple of main deck digital bugs that have some easier activation, but are still sometimes difficult to use because of the setup they require. Digital Bug Web Solder and Cocoon Dancer are two digital bugs that, in order to activate their effects, a monster you control that they can change from attack to defense position, and that includes themselves if you happen to normal summon them, and then this will allow you to special summon a
This is what I'm talking about.
particular location in this video. For Web Solder, you get to special summon one from your hand, while Cocoon Dancer will summon out a monster from your graveyard. And even though these cards are easier to use in their technical sense, the fact that you would need the level 3 insects in specific locations can make things dicey. Especially in the case of Cocoon Dancer, which is virtually useless in an early duel unless you find a way to fool or something. For a lot of archetypes, effects like these would be a genuine need, and there's a lot of potential for these extenders in future, more supported versions of the level. Because the more accessible these cards are, the better they can be with Web Solder being an okay when you start a turn, and Cocoon Dancer as a card you want to commit to the field when you know you can get value out of it. But as of right now, this highlights another core issue with digital bugs. It has a limited number of ways to get to its best potential tools. Sentiment, Web Solder, and Cocoon Dancer themselves can all help bring out other insects, but there's no way of finding these cards other than through Sentiment's effect to get them on the field. For Ladybug's effect, which would be pointless to do in most situation, as Ladybug usually requires your normal summon to use, so you have no way of committing what you want. What makes this even worse is that it's somewhat difficult to use these effects one after another, specifically because most ways that digital bugs extend do so by summoning each other in defense position. This doesn't sound bad at first, but let's say you have Cocoon Dancer on your side of the field, a Web Solder in grave, and a Sentiment in hand. By using Cocoon Dancer to bring back Web Solder, both of the monsters on your side of the field will now be in defense mode, preventing you from using Web Solder to summon out Sentiment in hand. And even if you did have this spare monster to change, Web Solder summons Sentiment in defense position automatically, preventing you from using it back from the get-go. Thankfully, something like Registrator helps with this issue, as after using it with Sentiment to bring out something from the deck, if you summon it in attack position, you'll be able to at least push a little bit further with your effects. But in any 2-card combo without Registrator or Dream Cicada, this sucks, plain and simple, as it prevents some of your best effects from comboing with one another. At the very least though, Web Solder is another okay way to start off your turn, depending on the cards in your hand. Cocoon Dancer can come in clutch later on in a duel, and while their bonus effects aren't game-winning in the slightest, they can help if you manage to supercharge the XC summon with other effects to make them a friend. Now, we've touched on the idea that most of the 2-card combos digital bugs have available are quite specific, lead to mediocre payoff, or in most cases, both at the same time. However, there's a semi-recent case of digital bug support that attempted to solve the issue, and in some regards is quite successful, but ultimately didn't end up catapulting the archetype into the stars of meta play, that being a digital bug Registrator. Registrider is the most unique of the main deck digital bugs, as its effect doesn't require to be changed in defense position to activate, nor does it need to change a monster's position. It actually triggers whenever you normal summon any level 3 insect monster, which then allows you to special summon it from your hand and then change the levels of Registrider and the monster you normal summon into either level 5 or 7. That's not all either, as whenever Registrider is special summoned from your hand, you get a chance to alter the battle position of one insect you control. At the time of its release, Registrider seems like a custom card for the deck. In an archetype full of monsters that usually require you to give up your normal summon, having an extender like this is already a plus, as it guarantees access to NPCs and any other digital bug in your deck alongside it. Even better than that though, it's by far the smoothest way of triggering Sentiment, as this 2-card combo can end up netting you a ton of bodies depending on your Sentiment choice, letting the digital bugs push past its limitations with a surprising amount of defense. It doesn't even stop there though, because a cool part about Registrider is that, unlike every other digital bug, it gives you a wider array of potential options by letting you choose if you'd rather have them 3 or become level 5 or 7. Now, this only opens up 2 generic Xyz to summon out, and neither of these are all that meaningful. But what it does enable is for you to summon out Rhinoceros or Corbosh more easily without relying on their alternative summoning abilities. Set conditions might make this seem like a pointless endeavor, but every time you rank up into an insect disease, you're losing out on 2 materials, which will either prevent a full climb all the way up to Rhinoceros from rank 3, or make it so you'll struggle to use their effects, which would require you to have material cash. Even more though, is that Registrider actually allows for Rhinoceros and Corbosh to take advantage of the inherited effects of the digital bug. See, unlike a deck like Zodiac, which gives their effects whenever they're exceeding materials no matter what, the digital bugs only pass down their effects specifically when they're used as on-field material. And as soon as you rank them into a different Xyz, even if you get transferred materials, you lose out on whatever boost you were promised. These effects are rarely going to be the boost you end up winning full due to how focused they are on the battle phase. But it's a huge shame that you have to give them up if you want to rank up, given that that's the whole gimmick of digital bugs. It's a strange conflict of interest. It's great that Registrider can solve this issue. It's just really weird that it's baked into the deck in the first place. By all accounts, Registrider is an amazing card for the deck, but even with it around, the digital bug is far, far from any kind of effective success. You have to draw it for the archetype to resemble the function, as it's not only tough to find it later in a turn using archetypal rules, but even if you do, you'll have likely given up your normal summon to do so, which keeps it stuck in hand or forces you to run down a specific line with Armor Horn to normal summon another insect and then trigger its effect. And even in cases where you draw it, digital bug's core issues still persist. The restrictions mean that you're limited in the payoffs you have access to. So, even your highest ceiling boards don't look too pretty. And the deck still has consistency issues because if you don't have Sentiment with Registrider, you're never going to get those high ceiling boards in the first place. So, after looking at the main engine pieces, we have an archetype with some crazy heavy restrictions limiting monsters. The facts don't intuitively meld with one another, and doesn't even seem suited for the pace of the game in 2014, let alone 2025. Theoretically, this could be fixed if the deck had a flurry of workable macro at its disposal. We've seen plenty of strategies over the years.
Just want to get back to Bale's turn and end there. It's just this guy.
But unfortunately, just like the monsters, the back row that was intended for digital bugs leaves a lot to be desired. That's much by far is Bug Signal, which, while not a digital bug in name, acts as a rank-up magic for an archetype by allowing you to target an insect Xyz, summon out another insect Xyz. That's exactly 2 ranks higher or lower than the one you selected. And all of the Xyz materials that monster had get transferred to the monster you summon. The intent behind this quick play spell is obvious. You can use it to switch between a little bug boss monster on demand, after you spend the active one, or so that you don't have to waste
devoting yourself to these also restore your health.
You're not stuck in just summoning digital bugs, as it can be used to summon any insect Xyz, at least in theory. But of course, like any card associated with digital bug, it has issues holding it back. Bug Signal being so unsearchable means that it doesn't mesh well in a deck that already needs multiple specific cards to combo. A Signal will just be another good card if you don't draw an appropriate extender, since it needs an Xyz to function. And its utility, while cute, isn't really revolutionary for digital bug. The deck that can already rank up with without Signal backing it up. Now, you could also try to force Signal in a non-digital bug deck since it's technically generic and usable with XYZs. But the ranks of the current available Insect XYZs are a little all over the place, so it's hard to rank up or rank down into anything useful. The best options available being the digital bug XYZs themselves, which you can bring
Looks
out
like
on
we're
top
going
of
up
any
since
Insect
that's
XYZ.
where my side
There's
quest is.
definitely a world where Bug Signal ends up being a strong part of the Insect deck one day. The card has potential, and if it were a little searchable, or if there were more Insect XYZs to take advantage of, it could become a must-play card. But currently, it can't do much for any strategy, digital bug or not. While Bug Signal is a card with potential, Bug Emergency is one that would become logically functional, let alone good. Emergency is a